What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is Belle Collective Season 4 Reunion Part 2. Is this Season 3 or Season 4? Whatever. The reunion, child. It's not a lot, honestly, to really go over. I feel like we spent we'll get to that. The beginning part of this, I feel like we are going over this whole situation between Marie and Tambra. I don't know if we ever got an answer as to why Marie told everybody that Tambra was pregnant before production, before the show had a chance to say it. I mean, if she said it, I missed it. I do think that was messed up for her to do it, and I do think it was intentional. You're not going to sit here and tell me that you did not know that that story wasn't already out when you decided to tell everybody that Tambra was pregnant. It was the big cliffhanger for the mid-season break or whatever the situation was. I think you knew, and I think you were being petty by putting it out there to sabotage Tambra. The one thing I will agree with Marie is that Marie has absolutely put her life out there. From season 1, Marie has given it all to us, and I'll give her credit for that. We know about the situation with her son the first season. We know about the problem she was having with Cedric. We don't know the whole story with Cedric, but we know enough of it to know that they were having marital issues. He was cheating on her. He would disappear. They got a divorce. I mean, look, we gonna get it. We may not get every little bit and piece of it, but we gonna get it, okay? Then we found out that she told us about what happened to her daughter, the mother of her granddaughter. I mean, we went through that. We saw that. She put that on camera. We know about her lupus, right? We know about her mom. Now, has Marie told us every little nook and cranny of her life? No, I don't think anybody on reality TV tells us every nook and cranny. But to say that Marie has not given us her life, I think would be disingenuous. But I also think it's disingenuous for Marie to say that Tambra and Latrice are not clocking in. I think the problem is they're not telling the story you want them to tell, Marie. They're not telling they're not telling their life the way you want them to tell it. Latrice, we're going to get to that later on with Latrice and her marriage. But here's the thing about Latrice and her marriage. Baby, if Latrice ain't ready to accept what's going on in her marriage, she can't tell nobody else. I can't tell you, I can only tell you my reality. And if Latrice's reality is that her marriage is good, and we're going to get to that. We'll get to that. But I'm going to just say this part. And if Latrice is being abused, whether it's mentally or physically, forcing her, I said this before in another, I think I said this earlier on in the season, forcing her to say it, to talk about it, to expose it, is not safe. So I understand that part of it. As far as Tambra's storyline is concerned, listen, Tambra has given us her storyline. The problem is the fans don't believe it. When I say fans, I mean generally speaking. Maybe I'm just talking about me. We don't believe what she's giving us. And maybe Marie feels the same way, and that's why Marie feels like Tambra is not clocking in. I mean, let's be real about it. Did Tambra gave us the fact that she was struggling to have a child. She wanted to have a child. She was ready, but she wasn't in a relationship. We saw her reaching back and getting back with a man that she was with basically just because she wanted a baby, which I still think is the situation. I'm just telling you. I'm not saying that Tambra and Damon don't have good times together. I'm not saying that they're not good friends. I ain't saying none of that. But do I think that they are in a loving relationship right now that's on its way to marriage? I don't. That's me, my opinion. So for them to reach back into this situation with this guy, Tambra said that this man sent them a message from a burner IG account and didn't even spell her name right. Why would anybody take any of that as truthful? For Marie to say, well, I met with him because he said he wanted to tell his story. And again, Tambra, and I know this because from people who live in Jackson, Tambra did talk about this story. Tambra talked about this man stalking her on air. So for Marie to feel like, one, for Marie to act like this is new information, it's not. This relationship was years ago. Two, for you to act like nobody knew about it is disingenuous because You may not have known because you may not listen to her radio show, but she absolutely spoke on it publicly and talked about the situation. There was a criminal case involved. I don't know whether the charges were dropped or what. I don't know that deep into it, but there was a criminal case. That I know to be a fact. So I feel like, Marie, you were disingenuous and you sit there and you act like I just wanted her to tell her truth. I just wanted, she and I didn't feel safe. Why, if she was being stalked, why wouldn't she tell us? Man, that case was 3 years ago, Marie. This is not something that happened just yesterday. This is not something that was recent. So I feel like Marie, I think from where Marie says she feels like I have given y'all everything. I have given y'all my whole life. And I feel like the rest of these ladies are picking and choosing what they're giving us, or what they're giving us isn't the real. I can understand her point of view on that. But Marie, listen, you're not a producer. That is for Carlos and his production team to yoke them ladies up and say, listen, y'all not giving me what I need, and I need you to either give it to me or I'm going to find somebody who will. That's his job. That's not your job, Marie. So with that being said, moving on. Then we basically, the men come out. And to be honest with you, the rest of the episode, let me make sure, let me double. I don't even know if I took notes. Child, let me see. Did I take notes on this? Because it really won't. Hold on, let me see. The men come out, and the rest of the episode was Latrice and Cliff, and whether Latrice. We talked about Marie's mom. Her mom relapsed. Listen. As somebody who's dealt with addiction in their family, her mother is going to relapse until her mother decides. Now, Marie said that my mom called me and said she wanted to go into rehab. I'm not saying she didn't, because there are times when addicts do that. They wake up, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to get clean. But again, all Marie can do is all Marie can do. And I do feel for her from that point of view. And your mama been an addict for a long time, baby girl. It's going to be a lot. The men come out, and basically, like I said, the rest of this episode is Latrice and Cliff. Let me give you guys this. I'm not going to get into the back and forth of Cliff, Latrice, Josh, da-da-da-da-da. Let me just nip this in the bud, because I feel like I said all this when the episode aired. Do I think that Latrice Rogers is in an abusive relationship? I absolutely believe that it is mentally abusive. Do I think that Cliff is physical with Latrice? I have no idea. But from what I've seen, I absolutely believe it is mental. And again, I ain't going to sit here and break down the clinical definition of what mental abuse is and this, that, and the other. But what I will say is this. He's very controlling. She allows him, you could see when Carlos asked her, are you in an abusive relationship? Which I don't even understand why you asked that, because what did you expect her to say, Carlos? But neither here. Look, Carlos and his hosting skills, that's another conversation for another day. Suffice to say, I wasn't impressed with him. Now, I think Carlos has done some great jobs hosting. I just don't think this was one of them. I don't think this was his best reunion as far as a host. I think he has done some great reunions as a host, but this ain't it. Moving on. What I had a problem with was how Latrice answered that question. Because what Latrice said was, Carlos, I'm glad you asked that question. Almost as if it was rehearsed. Doesn't that sound like a pageant question? I'm glad you asked that question. If a woman is abused, wouldn't she do things to cover it up? I mean, if you had a mark on your neck, if you had a bruise, wouldn't you do things? First of all, I don't even understand what the hell that had to do with his question. We don't see you enough. Okay? Latrice, let's be clear. We, as the watching audience, do not see you enough for that to even be a viable answer. Just because, let's just go down this road that this man puts his hands on you. Of course you wouldn't show up to filming with a bruise that's visible. Of course you would either use makeup, strategic clothing, or you would just say, hey, I'm not feeling well today, I can't film. I mean, that is what people do when they are in an abusive situation. They either strategically cover it up with clothing, they use makeup, or they just already show to friends and family. Come on, stop it. So that was a stupid answer, which did make me give you a side eye, Latrice, because that made me be like, Because now I'm sitting here like, why isn't your answer no? Why are you giving us this long, drawn out soliloquy? Now, what I will say is this: that night at M Bar, let me say this. There's a first time for everything, right? So could that possibly have been the first time that Latrice and Cliff got into that level of a heated argument to the point where Cliff put his hands on her and the point where Cliff called her out her name? Because even when Carlos asked her about that, he said, Latrice, does he call you out your name often? And her response was, well, I call him out his name. Carlos was like, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, does he call you out of your name often? And her response was, I mean, sometimes, if I call him a B, he'll respond back. Again, see, when you can't answer the question, that's when I start questioning your answers. You understand what I'm saying? Had Latrice said, Carlos, look, that was a bad night. That was a bad night. And I saw a side of my husband that I honestly had never seen before. And if you recall, I left him. If you recall, I was living with my mom. If you recall, I had some hard conversations with my mom and with him about what I needed out of this relationship before I could come back home. So, Carlos, no. What you guys saw is something that's never happened. Or you saw how I handled it. If that was the everyday of our relationship, would I have moved out? If that was the everyday of our relationship, would I have been saying, listen, I need this, this, and this, or it's going to be a problem? So, again, that's the answer. And if she had given that answer, y'all, I'd be like, well, she right. She right. Because there's a first time for everything now. And for some people, the first time is the last time, right? For some people, the first time you find out your man is cheating on you is the last time you find out your man is cheating on you because you're going to leave him. The first time your man grabs you and pulls you is the last time he going to grab you and pull you because you're going to leave him. The first time he call you a bitch is the last time. You understand what I'm saying? I get that. And then there are people that are like, whoo, that was bad. That was bad, but I'm not ready for my marriage to end. Let's see if we can work this out, right? Had that been her answer, y'all, I would be defending Latrice until the cows come home. I'd say, well, look, y'all, she said it's the first time it happened, and you see she left. You see she was staying at her mama's house. You see she was trying to figure out if what was going to happen. You see when she put her foot down and told that man she needed respect. But the fact that she could not look us dead in that camera or dead in Carlos's face and give us a straight answer, and she kept doing this Robin Hood's Bond situation. Now I think that wasn't the first time. Now I think that that's the game that y'all play. Now in walks Josh. Now Josh comes in so they can discuss this whole situation. I'm going to say the same thing now. My opinion hasn't changed than when it happened on the episode. I know a lot of people feel like Josh was doing too much and he was stepping out of place, which I agree too. But here's the problem. Did y'all hear what Josh said? See, people got to listen. People got to listen with their ears and not with their emotions. Josh said, she tells me these things so I can bring them up, which will open the door to a conversation she wants to have with him. He didn't say, I think she does this. He didn't say, I feel like it's my job to bring these things up. He said, she tells me these things, so I will bring them up so that she can have the conversation she wants to have. I 100% believe what Josh said. 120%. Josh said what Latrice wants to say. Now, whether they had a conversation about it and Latrice said, look, the next time Zaddy come around, I need you to say this, that, and the other because I need to talk to him about this. I ain't going to say it's that deep. I'm not going to say it's that calculated. But as a friend, I do think that that's what he thinks Latrice wants from him. Now, I think he learned a hard lesson. I think he heard a hard lesson. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I think the difference between what we saw and what has happened in their relationship is just that. We saw it. We saw it. I absolutely believe that Latrice has confided in different people, including women on this cast about things that go on. Again, I'm not saying that this man is putting his hands on her, but probably some disturbing stories about control, and about how he talks to her. And that's what Josh said. He said, "Listen, he said there was no physical abuse, but he had a problem with the way Cliff talks to her. He did say that." Listen, I'm gonna say this to everybody that's a friend with Latrice. If you watch it, hear and see it, whatever, all you could do is be a friend to her, and that includes Josh. That includes anybody else. All you can do is be a friend to her. She's been with this man for 13 years, which means that it's nothing that anybody can say or do. Her mama sat there and said he wouldn't be my man. Her mama sat there and told her that. Josh told her that, and I know that people in her life have told her that. When Carlos asked that anybody that Latrice confide in Leticia, Leticia said, "Listen, I'm not going to talk about conversations that me and her had when we were friends as it relates to her relationships," which says to me, yes. Now that doesn't say what happened. I ain't saying what the conversation was, but that says to me that yes, a conversation was had. Yes, yes. That's my 2 cents on that. As far as the whole breakdown at the end with Josh crying and being very emotional, at the end of the day, I know that that scene was probably edited down, probably for time, not because they're trying to hide anything, probably for time. So do I feel like that it got nasty between Cliff and Josh? Yes. Do I think that Josh is hurt because of his relationship with Latrice being affected? Yes. Do I think that he's hurt because that's his friend? Yes. But again, I pay attention. Did you notice when Akeisha went up to him at the end of this episode and Akeisha said, "Josh, you know that the conversation you need to have with Latrice," not he say she didn't say nothing about Cliff. The conversation you need to have with Latrice, it's not going to happen here. And we had that conversation before you got here. So I think Josh's emotions is because he wanted something from Latrice that he wasn't getting in that moment. Um, Josh, I hate to be the one to tell you, baby, but you probably never gonna get it. You're probably never gonna get what it is that you're looking for from Latrice. That's my opinion. With that being said, that is part 2. We have part 3 next week, and then we are done with the Bells until season 5, 4, season 4. With that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Peace.